10 powerful ways to calm somebody down that is dealing with agitation. So someone that has dementia, you're caring for them as a caregiver and they're dealing with agitation. So here's 10 powerful, powerful, effective tips to deal with that. Okay. So going off of my notes here. So staying calm. It's so important that you stay calm. So what I have here is agitation and aggression are contagious. Okay. So the more you are super, you're meeting them where they are with their frustration and their anger, and you starting to see them start to get a temper. If you meet them there, then it's just going to be a recipe for disaster. So staying calm, staying cool, staying collected, and then just really listening and understanding, and even staying calm in your own energy. I remember with my grandma, when this is one of the biggest things I wish I could have changed. My grandmother has since passed. She passed away in 2022. I was her caregiver for 8 years, 6 years for full time. So 6 years completely full time, but 8 years total on her dementia journey, all the way up until her very last breath. I was there. And that was a major thing that I wish I would have done better, but I just had lack of knowledge. So that's why I'm getting on these videos and talking to you about some of these things. But I used to get equally as angry, if not even more angry, with my grandmother, and not understanding that it's not necessarily her, it's her dealing with the condition that is bringing on her agitation. Number two would be to slow down. Okay, so whatever you're doing, slow it down. Okay, so this is a huge one. You want to slow down, and you don't really want to correct them. Like if they're recalling a story or telling you, you know, recapping or recalling something and saying it in the specific order of how they remember it happening, and it really didn't happen that way. You even have the evidence, like it's even on camera or in a photo album, that it didn't happen that year or that way or in that location. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They are going through a serious transition in their cognitive abilities to recall things. So you adding more fuel to the fire and saying, no, it happened in 1994, not 1995, and you speaking really fast and really animated, like that was another thing I wish I would have learned earlier on. I definitely got better at it as time went on, but I could have done a way better job in the beginning, like during her middle stages, where I could have just stayed calm and just did not try to correct her, because what did it matter anyway that something happened in 1995, or the person's name was Kenneth, not Cameron, like, does it matter? No, it doesn't. So it's okay. Just calmly, agree, and then move on, to the next topic or the next moment or whatever you guys are doing. It's not worth the hassle. It's not worth your sanity or theirs. Okay. Next one is focus on feelings, not facts. So that kind of just ties into what I was just talking about. Empathize with them, be understanding, give them great eye contact, a nice rub on the back, a nice, hand on the shoulder, and really leaning into them, showing that you care, that you're loving, that you're there for them, that you're a support, and your understanding is really going to be huge. And not saying, no, this is a fact. It just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And I really wish I could go back in time and take back all of those moments that I just was going so hard on my grandma. And then my grandma, I'm 5'7". My grandma is almost 6 feet tall. She's 5'11". Okay, so she's not to be messed with. I'll put it like that. But I was, trying to be small and mighty against her. Like, no, grandma, it was this time. And it just was a waste of our time. And it just brought a lot of heartache and tears and unnecessary arguing back and forth. And then really, I was just putting her into a worse situation, because she's dealing with the dementia, right? Like she's the one who's dealing with her cognition and her ability to reason and think and all these changes. She's the one dealing with it. And I was really making it harder on her, just pushing different facts and things like that that just didn't matter. So please, please, please make sure you are focusing on the feelings and not the facts. Like, okay, you know what? I totally understand. You're right. Or no, say if all the facts were wrong, but it was an amazing time. Say, you know what? I just remember having such a good time that weekend. Yeah, it was a good time, huh? And focusing on the happiness, the joy, the laughs of whatever you're recalling, and not so much on the facts. Okay. Just make sure my mic is on here. Okay, it is. All right, so the next one, offer respect and validation. So I just want to also to say I got all of these tips from this really great article. It's called The Key. So if you want to go to thekey.com. And so I'm reading all these, and I was reading this article, and I'm like, these are really good to talk about. And so I wanted to elaborate based on my perspective and what I experienced being a caregiver for full time, pretty much overtime for 6 to 8 years. So it says, offer respect and validation. Always treat your loved one with respect. These feelings can often help foster effective communication with someone with dementia. So the thing is, what I noticed, I did this, and a lot of people do this, and this is the number one thing you do not want to do. You want to make sure to still give them their respect. They're your, and most of the time, they're probably your elder in most cases. Give them the respect. They are still your grandmother, they are still your grandfather, they are still your mom, your dad, your aunt, your uncle, and you want to give them the respect that they deserve as mentors, as leaders, as someone that was a caregiver to us at one point, right? We don't want to belittle them or say, oh, well, they're basically back down to a child now. They're not. They're not a child. And they know that. And they know that, especially during the beginning stages to middle stages, they understand that there is something going on with their mind. So when you start treating them like a child, they're looking at you like you're super disrespectful, because actually you are, because they're not a child. They're an adult who's going through a cognitive decline. They're not a 2-year-old anymore, right? A 2-year-old it's progressive learning, it's progressive building upon building, their cognition with learning about the world and learning numbers and letters and all of that. But when you're dealing with someone with dementia, it's a decline in those things. So they're not all the way reduced back down to a 2-year-old, and they're in their 80s, but they're dealing with dementia. So I actually definitely did. There was moments where I would treat my mom or my grandma, like she was kind of like a child. And it's like, because there's childlike things, like there's similarities, like with them not being able to, do hygiene stuff anymore, or remember where things are, or reason, or make decisions, right? But they're still in a full-on adult that's actually our elder. So that's something I definitely wish I could go back and redo. But again, this whole page is all about things like I could have redone and did better, and it's going to be all about things that I was really proud of myself, for doing. So, there's a lot of things in here. I'm like, I definitely was terrible at it at the beginning, but then got really good at it toward, the last stages of her dementia. So the next one is limit distractions. Okay, so when someone has dementia, we're used to maybe having, you know, pans clanging against each other while someone is cooking in the kitchen, and then there's the TV on and someone's talking on the phone and someone is knocking at the door. But for someone with dementia, all of that going on is way too much. So we want to reduce the amount of stimulation that is going on and really try to keep the environment cool, calm, and collected. So if you can, if they are, depending on your living situation, try to make it where it's a safe feeling, quiet, calm, cool, collected environment where there's not too many types of things going on, like music going on in one room, TV going on in another room, the phone's going off in one room, someone's talking on the phone right in front of them, sitting next to them. Like we don't want to overwhelm them. So I definitely I didn't realize that. That's something I didn't know when I was a caregiver during the beginning stages and middle stages of my grandma. So half the time she was agitated and upset because she was just being overly stimulated. There was too many aspects of noises and sounds and just like pictures and people in her face and people asking her questions, and it was just too much. So you really want to calm that down, and you'll find that if you just kind of, maybe put on some nice music, have like some nice ambient, lighting, calm lighting on, and just kind of calmly reduce your voice. Even right now, this is my personality. I'm animated. I'm you know just like over the top sometimes, like with my hand gestures. I talk with my hands a lot, and so that's my personality. But when I was with my grandma, I would have to be calm, be cool. Hi, grandma. Is there anything that I can get you? And then, even asking questions like that, I started to not ask her questions, because even asking a question like that would then confuse her and get her agitated. So I'd say, I'm going to go ahead and bring you a snack, and here's some coffee, and I'll be right back. And just calm, cool, slow, moving slowly, collected, eye contact, not too rough. But at the beginning, I was like, Grandma, what do you need? Just doing too much. So I learned the hard way with that. And I really, again, wish I had this kind of video or this kind of information at the beginning to just help put me in check and say, you need to chill, Ciana, and just like be calm and slow down. And and also too, it could be a cultural thing. Culturally, you could be in a family or in an environment where it's culturally acceptable to be fast and quick and talk fast and loud. And but when someone's going through the journey of dementia, it just it doesn't work like that. It doesn't go over well with them. So make sure. The next one, number 6, is declutter. You're going to want to make sure to declutter the environment, make sure it's clean, organized. There doesn't need to be too much stuff. Like with my grandma, I remember I just looked at her room one day because she kept just like hiding things and losing things and just knocking things over. And I just literally gutted out her entire room. And just made it to where it was very minimal, clean, spacious, and just had all of her essentials in it. And that really did help out with me being able to be an effective caregiver, and then just with her not being so overwhelmed with all of these different. Because my grandmother would collect a lot of things, so she would have things stacked all the way to the ceiling, and she would like knock stuff over, hide things. It was becoming too much. So you do want to declutter, but it depends on what stage they're in. So if they're in the beginning stage, you want to include them in the declutter, because you don't want to just start saying, you keep hiding stuff or you keep losing a bunch of stuff, I'm going to get rid of all this. No, include them in it. Hey, let's play a game today, or let's do a